What's up YouTube, it is your option here with another video on how to side in Priestess, and this video was basically requested after I did my side in Reaper version, so I thought I might as well just do a side in Priestess since I did a Reaper version of it already. I'm sorry I haven't really been able to upload. Recently I've been kind of busy, and I've also been trying to test out new things. But yeah, to get into the video, there are a few cards which I've seen on other people's channels which I'll point out as I go through. So the first card is Draw Lockbird. You guys probably aren't surprised to see this here. Draw Lockbird is really good in a mirror match. It's also good against dragons, and it can be searched for Spellbook Starhole, so Draw Lockbird I think is definitely worth it. The second card is Breaker for Magical Warrior. This card was mostly mained before Judgment. Spellbook Judgment came out, but post Judgment I think it's best to sort of stick with a lower monster count. So Breaker is normally sided or just not played at all. It's still studied out cards like Thunder King. You can crash into that, and it's also good against cards like Bear's Ophion because you can summon Breaker, pop their Infection Pandemic, and then use power and then run over Ophion. So I feel like Breaker is definitely a good option for the side. I definitely wouldn't recommend maining it though. After that is Kaiku. Kaiku's seen a lot more play, kind of instead of Breaker. It's mostly because Kaiku is really good against elemental dragons. It kind of, can lock them down. It's mostly Jargon which locks them down early game, but Kaiku late game could really lock them down. Early game it's not that good because they're not really going to be banishing from the graveyard too much. They're mostly going to be special summoning using the babies. So Jargon is normally really good early game, and then Kaiku really good late game. If you could banish the babies with Kaiku, is also really good, and it does net a lot of advantage against elemental dragons, and it's probably worth a space in the side if you're not maining it already. And after that is Jargon. I just touched on Jargon. I feel like Jargon is definitely the better side deck option because Jargon is very effective against a wide range of decks. It's good against Vers, Mermail. It's good in a mirror match because if it's your turn and you activate Spellbook Judgment and your opponent uses their Spellbook Judgment, if you summon your Jargon during the end phase because you're a turn player, so you have priority. If you summon your Jargon in the end phase with your Judgment, they won't be able to summon their like Jargon or Justice or Kaiku or whatever. So Jargon is good in a mirror match. It's good against dragons. It's good against birds. It's good against Mermail. It's good against a lot of different decks. So I feel like Jargon is definitely worth the side deck space if you're not already maining it. That is. After that, I've got Consecrated Light. This card is extremely good against Vers. Vers is kind of a problematic matchup because they can make Ophion pretty easily and use Eradicator. If you're going first, you could sort of just summon this and then they can't really do anything because their whole strategy behind beating Prophecy is either siding in Eradicator Epidemic Virus or siding in Draw Lockbirds and deck Lockdown. Those are the three cards which Birds are mostly going to side against you, and most of the time it will be Eradicator if they're not already maining it. So if you could summon Consecrated Light and prevent them from summoning their Ophion, chances are they won't really be able to stop you at all because they mostly rely on Eradicator to stop you. So I feel like Consecrated Light is definitely worth a space. It does eat up a normal summon which you could use on Magician, but it slows down Thurs so much that I feel like it's worth it. After that I've got Injection Fairy Liddy. This is a solid out to Ophion and to just big monsters in general. I think it's possibly worth a space. It's not really seen that much play, but you could consider siding it. Onto spells, I've got Mystical Space Typhoon, which is just a generally good side deck choice. After that, Dimensional Fissure. Dimensional Fissure is extremely good in the Priestess variant because if you play it under Judgment Day, it will count towards your Judgment count, and also if you, for example, play Judgment Day, let's say you're going first, you play Judgment Day, you play Dimensional Fissure, your opponent won't be able to use Draw Lockbirds, Effect Vaders, Maxis if they wanted to draw for your special summon during end phase. So it stops those hand traps which could really slow you down, so I feel like Dimensional Fissure is definitely a good option in the Priestess variant. I have seen OCG decks actually main deck in 2 of these because it's just that effective, and I definitely agree with it. So definitely at least side Dimensional Fissure. After that is Dragdown to the Grave. Dragdown into the Grave. I've actually been testing this in Reaper, and I really like this card because what I like to do is to activate Judgment Day, set my secret, set my master, and then go Dragdown into the Grave, take their Veiler, take draw lock birds, and then I can use sequence to search my magician and then, you know, get it off successfully. And normally the card which they discard is like a crescent or maybe like a dead drawn reaper or something, so I feel like Dragdown is really good. In the Priestess variant is very similar, it functions quite the same, and I feel like Dragdown is definitely a good option. And also against like Thurs, for example, if you're going first, you could take the Eradicators in their hand, you could take Caster out of their hand, because normally they rely on Caster and Rabbit obviously to go into a quick Ophion. If you haven't got many monsters on the field, they won't really be able to use Magic Aura. But yeah, Dragdown is just really good for hitting those really key cards. Even against Elemental Dragons, if they've got a whole bunch of big dragons, you could just hit for one baby dragon in their hand. You can hit staples as well, so I feel like it's really good. The card after Dragdown is Exchange. I saw this on Vexicus 4666's channel, and he's been testing it and it's been working out really good for him so far. He prefers it over Dragdown, which is interesting. I kind of prefer Dragdown over it, but I can definitely see the pros of Exchange, especially in a mirror match. I mean, if you're playing the mirror match and you go Judgment Day and then you set your hand and like you go Exchange and then you give them something really dead like a Heliosphere or something, and you take their spellbook of secrets, I can imagine it would be extremely good. So I could see why Exchange would be extremely good as a side deck option, maybe a main deck option. After that is a Book of Eclipse. I saw this on Love IE's channel, otherwise known as Why You Need Usernames, and this card is actually extremely good. I saw this main decked in some OCG builds. It's just really good. For example, if you're playing against dragons and you go like Book of Eclipse and they summon like a Drago Sack, they have to flip it face down, they won't get their tokens, and it sort of stops them from like playing, because if they haven't got more dragons in their graveyard, they kind of just have to end their turn. And it's also extremely good if you're playing a Jalgan and Spellbook Magician, because a really nice thing or nice trick to do is just to Book of Eclipse your Jalgan, flip it face down, and then during your turn do all of your plays, summon all of your priestesses, drop all of your boss monsters, whatever, and then try to go for game, or like, you know, try to, you know, put like make a really big push. And then if you can't game your opponent, just flip Jalgan, and then your opponent can't special summon at all. And it's really good because with Magician, you're obviously going to be getting back the minuses which you would make with this card, because your opponent does get to draw, and obviously with Jalgan it turns into a one-sided special summon lock, so I think Book of Eclipse is a really good option too. Onto traps, Curse Seal of a Forbidden Spell. This card is extremely good against the mirror match. It's also good against well, yeah, it's okay against Vers, but it's also extremely good against Fire Fist. If you can negate their Tenki with Curse Seal, it's normally extremely good. Like, it'll put you at quite a good amount of advantage, I feel, and it's mostly for the mirror match though, but for our matchups where it's also extremely good. After that, Soul Drain, good against E-Dragons, it's good against Mermail, Dark World, it's good against a lot of decks. I feel like Soul Drain is definitely worth a space. Rivalry of Warlords, also good against Vers, Mermail. It's okay against dragons because you can stop them from going for Drago Sack and Big Eye, but it's mostly for Vers, because Vers really struggle with Rivalry of Warlords, and also Constellas struggle quite a lot with Rivalry of Warlords as well. And the final card is Compulsory Evacuation Device. I've been an advocate of Compulsory Evacuation Device in Prophecy for a long time. Compulsory is extremely good this format because of Drago Sack, Big Eye. All of these effects are once per turn effects that don't activate when they're summoned. You have to actually trigger it yourself, so you actually have to activate it yourself, is what I mean. And it's also extremely good with Priestess, because for example, if you've got a compulse set and then you try to summon a Priestess and your opponent goes bottomless, you can sort of compulse your Priestess back to your hand and then resummon it. So it's sort of like a wisdom in that sense, so it sort of doubles as a defensive card and also as an offensive card. So I feel like Compulsory Evacuation Device is definitely worth a side deck space, and I would definitely consider siding it if you're not already made in it. So that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and this is a Zero Option signing out, and have a nice day.